Believe it or not, on my top 10 videos, most viewed videos, I think 5 of them are on Fargesia bamboo. My channel is kind of more devoted to palms, but apparently bamboos are really popular. So we're on April 2nd here, and this is the time of year that these things really wake up. I think I showed you a couple weeks ago, I noticed there was some new shoots coming up, just making an appearance, and here we are a couple weeks later. So when I planted these, I planted them excuse me, 4 foot on center. Some clumps had I'd say less than 10. I'd have to go, I don't think I shot a video, I have pictures, but probably less than 10 canes, and some of them had around 20, but they were fairly mature. They were divided from a large hedge, so the biggest ones were already, you know, over 6 feet sort of thing. But since then they've grown. I think this is the 4 years ago, right around now, beginning of April, I planted them. This clump here, I guess, was one of the small ones. I'm not really sure why I planted the smallest one there, because that's where the fence is the lowest. But I'm going to show you, I think it's about 2 weeks on now, how things are coming along. So the ones kind of up the hill, they get more sun, so they tend to grow, they tend to start fast earlier. But look at this space here is gonna get filled in this year. This one, not as much. When they got separated, there's another one back here. What I found was when they got separated off the hedge, so they tend to grow in one direction. They don't really kind of grow out in a circle. Like if you had started with a small, maybe like a seed grown plant, or one that's in a pot, when you put them in the ground, they kind of grow, you know, on all sides. When you get them kind of separated off a hedge, they tend to grow in one direction. Eventually they start to go in other areas too, but like this one here has just been moving to the left, not to the right, which is where I really wanted it to move to. And this other big one here, it's been kind of growing to the right and then kind of coming towards us. So that's one thing that you may find. But 4 years on, 4 feet apart on center, and they are starting to fill in. That's probably going to be the only gap. I guess in here there's a bit of a gap, but if you look up, it's a green wall. And the further up we go, the more we see. This is always the first one to go. It is the warmest spot, or the sunniest spot. So I couldn't even tell you how many new canes I'm seeing here. Maybe 3 dozen. And this is quite a vigorous clump. They're kind of growing all around, but they're actually heading more towards my gate here. So what I'm gonna do is, like right here, you can see these ones are getting kind of close to the base of my pawpaws. And that last kind of, this you know, single cane here that's the furthest, anything that's beyond that, I'm just gonna cut it off. You can even just snap them off, because I don't want them to go any further. That's kind of this is kind of my dividing line. So they are easy to keep in a hedge. So all of those I will just snap off, and they will stop growing. Like this one right here on the edge, I may snap that one off. You can also trim these part way up, and what happens is, so if these ones here, they're kind of starting to lean over the gate. If I cut them down about halfway, they'll actually snap in, and they'll hold the rest of the bamboo more in a straight line. So you can actually trim these so that they are very well manicured. See, like these pieces that are kind of sticking out over, I can just go in and I'll cut that back. Not right there, but a little bit further in. It'll have a tendency to snap back up more in a direct vertical position. So, but the hedge is filling in. I think this gap here, there's a few down there that'll kind of fill that in. But as you can see, 4 years later, planted 4 feet on center. It's relatively full. Some of these older canes died back last year during the heat, so they're not as full as they once were, but this new growth will help to refresh that. I do leave the litter from the old leaf sheaths on the ground as a mulch, and this year I threw down some chicken manure. But you can also use grass seed. Over here, this kind of wild hedge here, there were short plants, small ones that I had originally bought. They were only a foot or so high. They're, you know, roughly 6 feet tall, but the tall ones behind it were the ones I bought later on. So that's why these ones are like top to bottom. The other thing you can do if you want is actually trim off the lower leaves. I find they don't carry leaves too low, but if you wanted to trim them, you just kind of snap them off with your fingers at each node. Like right here, you just snap that off. If you want to expose the canes more, I don't, because I'm trying to mine is actually a privacy hedge from the street. So there you go. Fargesia robusta. And my rufas they're sending up new growth as well. So maybe I can shoot a video on those. And again, long video on bamboos. Thanks for watching.